Hello everyone, in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be ranking every single Ertl engine that's been released throughout their 20-year lifespan from 1984 to 2004. We have 56 engines to go through, worst to best, let's go. Coming in dead last is an item that I really want to like, similar to the 2026 Toby, but I just can't bring myself to find enjoyment in this item. It's Ertl Bluebell, 56th place, dead last. It's just a Thomas recolor, and unlike City of Churro, the smoke box door isn't even painted. I think that's probably my main issue with it. The green's also just a bit off compared to SCCR green, and there's just not much good in it, I guess. I mean, the red side rods are okay, I guess, but this is just one mess of an item, and I'm just not really sure why anyone would like this. And like I said, I've been trying to find something good in it, but I just can't. Yeah, the Ertl's done recolors before, like ones like Splatter, Smudger, Bertram makes sense, but this one just doesn't. The prototype was so much better, but I don't know, it's just... This is just... I've said this, but this item is just... It feels... This was in between seasons 5 and 6, I'm pretty sure, so they were really scraping the bottom of the barrel, but I honestly would have preferred someone like Adams or Cromford over Bluebell. On the one hand, I would have preferred if they made Primrose too, but then that would just mean we'd have pretty much two of the same terrible model. So, but overall, like, there's definitely worse Thomas toys out there, but this just, it's just not a good toy, and I fail to see any enjoyment out of it, really. But like, they made City of Churro before, and even then, Bluebell just fails to meet my expectations, and a lot of other fans too, so Bluebell is, in my opinion, the worst Ertl. So let's get to the second worst Ertl in 55th place. In 55th place is Diesel 10, and I honestly think this one could be worse than Bluebell. I'm just gonna clarify by saying, I don't think this is a bad Ertl, and mind you, this is the second to worst one in my opinion. This is just a weird Ertl, and I think by far it's the weirdest. They're not like hazard stripes, but the dark beige stripes that you'd see on Diesel 10, like on the sides, they're weirdly like this pinkish color. It's really weird. The speckles are weathering. That's fine. I think it's more drawing than on Spider and Dot, but even then, I still prefer them over Diesel 10. Diesel 10, like Bluebell, is a recolor of another toy, which is D199's Ertl. And just why? I don't know if they are on a time crunch or something, but it's just not really a good toy. Pinchy's color isn't accurate either, and I get what they were trying to do, but it just looks like one big clump of plastic rather than Pinchy. And like, the actual part leading up to his bucket, it's just his arm rather. I get what they were trying to do with it. Like, they were trying to make it look like, it's bent into place or whatever. I hope you guys know what I mean. But it just doesn't come across as looking that accurate. His face is really good, I will say that. That's easily the best part of this model. His actual, like, I guess, beige or tan color could be a bit darker for my liking, but overall, he's not the worst, but he's pretty close to it. I don't want to spend too much time on Diesel 10, but he's just... I don't really know what to think of this. Like, it doesn't help that I don't own this Ertl. I'm gonna say I only own about half of Ertl's roster. But yeah, Diesel 10 is not one of them, and it's probably gonna stay that way for a while. He's not on my hit list, so let's move on to 54th place, and yeah, this next one, it's definitely a step up from Diesel 10, but it's still questionable. In 54th place, we have Ertl Daisy, and I really only have one issue with her, but it's accurate, but it still bothers me, and I'm gonna get into it. She just sits too low to the ground, similar to the prop, which it was modeled after, so it's accurate, but like, her face is incredibly low to the ground, and like, with her prop, it's okay, I'll say that, because her buffer beam is below it. But with Ertl, they had to put a coupling on her, but they didn't, so it just looks kind of jarring. And this is the first model on the list where I actually own it, and yeah, she's accurate. Like, her actual mold is incredible. It was definitely one of the best for that time period, but for now, she's just, I don't know. She's the third worst on this list, but that's really my only complaint with her, but it's still a big one and it determined her placement. Her face could be better too, I'll say that. It just looks, I don't know, a bit generic. I don't know if that's a good word to describe my feelings towards it, but it's just, I think there's better Daisy toys out there. Like, the Take-Along Daisy is, I think, her best toy. Take-Along and Bachman have the best Daisy merch easily, but Ertl just kind of falls behind. I think if Trackmaster were to make a Daisy, it would look similar to the Ertl Daisy. So Daisy, I'm keeping brief compared to the others on this list, but I still think that you can, like, there's still work to be done. I would have preferred if she was released a bit later, when they had more skill. Like, imagine if Daisy was one of the UK Ertls. Like, let's say she swapped spots with, say, Bear, and like, she had a lot more detail, and maybe even a front coupler. I almost said Derek there. Bear probably would have been worse if he swapped spots, but, you know, the final timeline we got, Bear's a UK exclusive. Daisy was released in, I want to say, 92, 93, but yeah, so on to 53rd place, which is our first UK exclusive Ertl. So yeah. 53rd place goes to Frank, and this Ertl is a confusing one. I think so far Frank has the worst face of the ones we've covered on the list, and yet he's better than the three we've covered previously, so... Frank lacks wheels. He only has half of the wheels he's supposed to, and, I mean, it's not like you'd notice it. It's not something you would initially take notice to. It's Frank of all characters. He has no side rods, and I don't know what they'd be covered up by, but most of them would be covered up by something. I don't know the railway term for it, but Frank, he's just, I don't like his face either. doesn't remind me of Frank. When I picture Frank, I picture this grumpy chud who finds any reason to complain about anything, unless he's like helping his friend. Like he helped Rex in that one story, I'm pretty sure, but that face just does not remind me of Frank. And I think he could be a little longer. Like he scales perfectly with Jock, I think, and that's something that Ertl did not do well. They did not do scaling well. Like, this is a spoiler ahead. There's maybe 3 to 5 characters on this list, and their entire placement was just determined by their scaling. It was something that I wanted to try to ignore, but I just couldn't. But Frank, overall, I think he's, what's a good word to describe my thoughts on Ertl Frank? He's interesting, but flawed. And I think that's ultimately what places him where he is. Honestly, I think Frank was just a bit rushed. I think he was one of the first UK Ertls to come out, so maybe they caught wind of staying exclusive to the UK. They thought that they were just canceling their age entirely, so they rushed Frank and tried to get him out, and realized that they could have taken their time, but he was only going to the UK. I don't know, but I'm indifferent towards Ertl Frank. And mind you, we still have 52 more Ertls to go, so this should kind of just summarize my thoughts on the range. If we're already getting to the ones that I'm indifferent on, 4 Ertls in, that should kind of just tell you what I think of the range. So next up on the list in 52nd is Ertl Lady, and this Ertl and then the next one have the same problem, but I'll get into it. She's just humongous, and I think she looks a bit weird. I don't know, the colors just seem a bit too dark on this one, and it doesn't really look that good in my opinion. Like, I always saw Ertl Lady in videos as a kid, and I never saw it as an Ertl because it was just so huge. Like, this thing looks like it would scale well with Bachman. And overall, it's nowhere near the worst, but it's just a bit questionable, I'll say that. And I think that overall, it's not the worst Magic Railroad Ertl, but Ertl did not cook with these Magic Railroad engines. Off the top of my head, I don't remember where I placed Splodge on this list, but all I do know, they aren't much higher up, so yeah, this is just Ertl. Like, what were we doing with these Magic Railroad engines? These just aren't good. Alright, let's move on to 51st, which may upset some people. In 51st place, this is our first engine on the list that has a paper face variant, but I'm pretty much just going to be ignoring those. 51st place goes to Ertl Toby. Yeah, Toby just has the same problem that Lady does. He's just too big. And I'm looking at my Ertl Toby, and I don't know, he just seems iffy compared to the other die-cast Tobys. His roof isn't that curved compared to the others. His face, it reminds me of Mavis more than Toby, honestly. And his 7 decals on the sides, they aren't painted. It's clear. Ertl Toby, I mentioned he's too big, but I want to bring that up again. And he just can't go fast. Like, you could roll him on your floor, and he would likely derail, and he'd wobble and waddle from side to side, and sway from side to side. like Duncan, and come for the ride, sorry. And I think Earl Toby, they just needed more time with him. Like, Edward and Gordon were released in '89, I think. If Toby, honestly, maybe even wait till 1990 with Toby. The point is, I think they just pumped him out too early. He's not the worst, but he's just questionable. Yeah, I know I use that adjective for a lot of Ertls, but Ertl has high highs and low lows. So let's get on to 50th place, and I'm actually not sure what this is. Lady and Toby, I'm recording the audio on a different day from the previous 4. Okay, in 50th, we have an Ertl that I'm actually pleased to get to, because the previous ones on the list were the only ones where I just never took a liking to them. This one is iffy. I can't tell if it's... I don't know if I'd be on good terms with this Ertl if it was a person, but in 50th place, we have Ertl Bertram, and the mold is fine. It's literally just Ertl Duke, which is okay, because it's like the prop. His nameplate's misspelled, and that really annoys me. It's not like it matters, because Bertram's nameplate was never shown in the show, but it just doesn't sit right with me. And I think I prefer Ertl Smudger's face than Bertram's. I'm pretty sure Bertram was a 2000 release and Smudger was a 2001 release. I have Ertl Smudger, but I don't have Bertram. So, yeah, and I'm just, like I said, I don't think Bertram's face really sits well with me, and I'm not sure why. His brown could have been a little lighter, but it's fine. Like, his scene is very poorly written, so, his scene, they had poor lighting, so, yeah, okay. Overall, this is just a very lower mediocre Ertl, if I guess that's a word. It's just, it exists, and it's okay, but there's clearly better ones, and there's clearly worse ones. So, in 49th and 48th place, Ertl Splatter and Ertl Dodge. So, I'm not sure which one I like better. I only have Dodge, but I think Splatter's color is slightly more accurate, so I'll give 48th to him. Splatter, or Dodge, gets 49th. But overall, these two just... Yeah, I forgot where they were, and I was surprised that they were this low, but the weathering just does not work with them, and the gray is completely off. The faces are great, though. That's one thing I'll say. Similar to Diesel 10. Honestly, I think the reason they made it up this high is, even then, it's still pretty low. I think the only reason that they're up this high is because their tooling is actually accurate, unlike Diesel 10. It's literally just their colors that is a major flaw, but even then, they still stick out like sore thumbs, and it's just not a good look. They just aren't very... They aren't very good in the fact that the Splatter and Dodge in the movie you see, they have very dark colors. They're very distinct, but they're practically neon I like the colors, but they just don't suit the characters. So 49th place, Ertl Dodge. 48th place, Ertl Splatter. Let's get on to 47th place. In 47th, we have Flying Scotsman. And I am surprised that Scotsman made it this high. When I was first making the list, Scotsman was second to last, but overall, I came to the realization that there's some positives with Scotsman. His face, it's similar to Gordon's, but it's not the same, and I really appreciate that. Although, him having one tender, that's fine. It's just not the right tender. And I think that's what bugs me about it. It's real life accurate, but not Thomas accurate. The green they use for Scotsman is very similar to Dodge, and it just doesn't look good. The black running board, that's great. That looks good. But overall, Ertl Flying Scotsman is just a very, very iffy one, like the previous two. And there's definitely positives about it, but there's just a lot of negatives with it too. Like, it's very, very iffy. And it's a toy I've wanted to like, but I just can't bring myself to accept it, really. And Ertl Scotsman is just very bland. Just bland. And I'm not sure what the case is with. Like, honestly, I think I would have preferred Scotsman being a UK exclusive and having a new tooling with Spencer's tender and Gordon's front. But, oh well. So, let's get on to let's get on to the next spot. And this is gonna be a controversial one. In 46th place is Ertl Rheneas, and this is one I think I will be getting some backlash for, but I'll explain myself. So, I think my main problem is Rheneas' face. It doesn't seem like Rheneas to me. The narrow gauge engine's faces are a bit too small for my liking, except Rusty. Rusty's fine, but that's not the main problem. It's there, but Rheneas also just is pink like the Railway series, and I was really thinking about whether to put Rheneas over the next engine on the list or to keep it like this, and this was the final ranking. It just came down to the tooling, and Ertl Rheneas just, it's not for me, I don't think. There's a lot of people who enjoy this Ertl, but I am not one of them. I will say though, we're getting into the Ertls that I've actually liked at some point or another. So yeah, that's good. Rheneas just isn't for me. I do think that with some work, this could have been one of the best Ertls. The tooling is great, I've got to admit that. I'll go grab my Rheneas here, and I'm looking at it now, and there's... Okay, that's really weird. There's only coal in one of his bunkers, which is really weird, but overall, Rheneas is not bad. That's what I need to clarify. Overall, I think he's just fine. He's not bad, but overall, he could be better. On to 45th. In 45th place is Ertl Skarloey, and this is honestly just a weird Ertl. I think it's the least accurate of the Skarloey Railway fleet in Ertl, but, well, no. I think there's one that could be a bit less accurate. I'll get to that in a second. But the yellow stripe on the funnel, I get what they were trying to do with it, but it would have looked better if it was gold. The tooling is incredible. I've got to admit that. His face is decent too. It's just the pink livery that I struggle with. Yeah, that's really the only thing I don't like about Ertl Skarloey. I have the same problems with him and Rheneas, so this entry is going to be a little quicker compared to the others. But yeah, on to 44th place, which, once again, another narrow gauge engine. In 44th is Ertl Smudger, and this one is, well, like Skarloey, just a bit of a weirder one. The black running board looks better than I honestly thought it would. I think I would have preferred it if it was green, though. Smudger's face, I prefer to Bertram, but it's weird that they have two separate ones. Even though it's the same face. These two, I don't know. It kind of feels like Smudger had a different designer compared to the other Ertl Skarloey engines, but overall, he looks pretty good, I'd say. His nameplate placement is what bothers me the most, and he could have been a lot higher if it was in the proper space, and he's lacking his number 2 as well. Ertl could have done this as to not confuse children, but still, this is the same company who made Falcon, so I don't really know what happened there, but overall, he's pretty good. And we're only 12, 13 engines in, so yeah, Ertl has low lows, but high highs, and we're gonna get, you'll see what I mean by the end of the video, so yeah. Okay, on to 43rd. In 43rd is Ertl Oliver, and Oliver's just too small in this range. So this is a very interesting Oliver, I think. His face is decent. I think it encapsulates the character, but they could have gone with a different face mask than his content one. I'm not sure if this is an issue with just mine, but this is a very fragile Ertl. With mine, the part of the running board on his left side, where his driving wheels are, just kind of snapped off, but it's still held in place, because the side rods are kind of form an area around it. I don't know if that makes sense, but he's good. He's just too small, and a lot of engines tower. I'm not even including Toad. A lot of engines tower over him. He might be smaller than Gordon and Henry. That might be a bit of a stretch, but he's tiny, and I don't know why of all engines he got the white running board, but hey, it looks good on him, so that's extra bonus points. He probably would have been as low as Toby if he didn't have proper detailing. But overall, he's just alright. Like, he has his clear flaws, but there's some good in him. So let's get on to 42nd. In 42nd is Ertl Fergus, and there is one flaw with Fergus. It's a decent one though, which it explains his placement. The colors. His blue reminds me of 2026 Edward, where it works for the character, but it doesn't represent what it used to be. It's a bit of a paler blue, and to me it just looks a bit off. Like, if he used the same blue as Sir Handel, it would look a lot better. I'm glad there was an example there. But otherwise, he's fine. Like, he has a lot of detail. His front buffer beams, or his buffer beams and his couplings being black are a bit odd. Like, they would look fine being red. They'd look a bit better, but it doesn't ruin the look too much. His face, I think, is decent. It sticks out like it's supposed to, but I don't know, he just looks a bit soulless, and I have no clue why. His wheels, they are not your usual Ertl wheels. Like, they aren't pinwheels either, I don't think. I think they're just similar to, like, a regular take-along or Ertl, or a regular take-along or early take-and-play. But overall, this is a complicated Ertl, and I think this is one of the ones where I struggled placing him the most. Although, I think overall I made a decent decision with his placement on this list. And, well, there's definitely worse ones out there. There's ones that are definitely a lot better. This was an Ertl I intended on getting at one point, but just the transaction never went through, so hopefully that will change one day, but for now, I am Ertl Fergusless. So let's get on to 41st place, and soon we'll be at the 40s. In 41st, this one really killed me. I wanted to put this one up a lot higher, but Ertl Bear takes 41st, and like Fergus, this just comes down to his color. I would have preferred it if he was in his green livery, but he's a very accurate one. I don't know if this is like this on the actual toy, because I don't own it, but from the pictures I've seen, like, his face kind of folds inward like a V. His coupler's yellow, would have looked good as red, but I like this item. I wanted to put it up higher, but they went for a 7101 look rather than Bear, and it just doesn't look that good. I also think I would have preferred if he was the same blue as D199. I don't know if they are, because I don't own Bear, but from the pictures I've seen, he seemed to be a bit of like a more neutral blue. His face, he looks so happy. That's something I appreciate. I think it could be a bit more accurate, but overall, it looks fine. It looks pretty good. His roof detailing, from what I've seen, also looks pretty good. So I'll give him that, but overall, I think like Ertl didn't really know how to market a lot of the older diesels, like nameless ones. Like, yeah, they named Derek, sure, but for example, 199 Diesel or the Diesel, or I think Bear was marketed as Diesel 7101. I don't know, but yeah, there might have been a fourth one. Oh yeah, Airy, but clearly had a name at that point, so yeah, that's gonna be it. So on to 40th place. In 40th is Ertl Wilbert, and this one is gonna be a tricky one to rank, and I'll tell you why. There's two variants of Ertl Wilbert similar to Take Along Coldy. One is a darker blue, one is a lighter blue. The lighter blue is the one that I think is more common, and that's the one I own. So, on top of this item just being confusing, the more common release is more of a lavender compared to blue. Like Fergus, I think he should be more of a Sir Handel blue. I don't know what the deal was there. His face just seems too generic. It doesn't remind me of Wilbert, and I'm not sure why. He's tooling like a lot of the engines I've complained about, is easily the best thing about him. He also just looks a bit weird with white buffers. Like, honestly, I think they would look better just a plain red. Black's the preferred choice, but beggars can't be choosers there. He looks pretty good, I'll say that. Like, it clearly represents the character, but you could tell something's off. And I think he was released at a decent time. Like, I don't think he would have been changed or altered that much if he came earlier or later. So I'm glad they made use with his tooling, though. And they made 16. This is also the first time I'm going to bring up a canceled Ertl. The metallic Wilbert. Yeah, Ertl was going to make metallic versions of Skarloey, Wilbert, and 16 in 2001, I think it was, but they were sadly canceled. The proof wasn't revealed until much long ago. A couple years back, a Twitter post revealed these in some magazine on eBay. But yeah, it would have been interesting seeing a metallic Wilbert, and I think it would have fixed these issues. Similar to the metallic Bernaeus. But yeah, overall, Wilbert, I'm glad he's in my collection. I think that's how I'll summarize him. He's pretty good for what it is, but I think I prefer his wooden railway model more than the Ertl one. So yeah, we're now into the 30s. Let's get through those now. In 39th is Ertl Mavis, and oof, I'm not sure how to describe this one, really. It's going to be like this for a good amount of Ertls in this place, or this area on the list. But overall, like I said with the others, she's just okay. There's no, like, real positives to point out. Like, nothing extravagant, but, like, she gets the job done. I think she could have been a bit bigger. Her length is fine. Just a bit taller. And this is Ertl, so they were gonna mess up the scaling, but obviously, I think when it just comes down to, I think, how tall the 08 Ertl tooling was, sorry. And overall, it just wasn't, like, that tooling got the basics down, but it doesn't scale well with other characters, I don't think. Ertl Mavis is just okay. Like, they got all her major details down, but it just lacks something, and I'm not sure what it is. So, yeah, it's... out of all the Ertls I own, Mavis was probably, like, the least... like, Mavis is the Ertl I was least excited to, like, own. Although, to be fair, I got her in the same lot as Boko, so... that's one that really made me happy. Overall, like, this is just a mediocre Ertl, I'd say. It gets the job done, but, like, there's a lot better on this list, so I will get to that now. Well, it's not a big jump, but we'll see what we can do about these two. 38 and 37 go to Ertl, Bill, and Ben. And these two, like Wilbert, are confusing releases because they had multiple variants for no reason. Yeah, sure, the paper face engines are different enough where they're recognizable, but these two have a metal face release, like the later UK Ertls, like Jock, Emily, and Arthur, and a plastic face variant, like everyone who came around that time period. I'm not sure if these two came out in 1990, back when Duck and Diesel released. I'm pretty sure they did, because they got Ertl Minis, but these two just are a bit generic. I think they're just a bit too stubby. When I think of Bill and Ben from that area, I mainly think of their wheels, because, you know, their wheel colors got changed over from season 12 to 17, but I don't know. These two just... their faces are easily the worst part about them. I don't see these as Bill and Ben. I'm pretty sure my Bill has the metal face while my Ben has the plastic face, and I've owned another Bill and another Ben. I just got rid of one of them, but I remember the other twin, like the Bill I got rid of had the plastic face, and the Ben I got rid of had the metal face. So I just kept one of each variant. But I don't know, these guys. A lot of Bill and Ben merch just don't get the color right for me. Like, I think Bachman got it right. Like Hornby got it on spot with season 6, I think. But Ertl, it's just a bit vibrant for me. I don't really know. Um, it probably just boils down to there being so many other Ertls that these two kind of just fall behind. When I think of Ertl job lots, I usually just think of some Facebook Marketplace lot I purchased just for one train, and Ertl, Bill, and Ben, I mean, they've been in that case before where I bought them and they've been there, so they're just okay. They're better than Mavis, though, so yeah, let's get on to the next Ertl. Finally, one I'm somewhat excited to talk about. Ertl Percy. Now, this, like Toby, had a paper face variant, and like Henry and Wilbert, Percy has two color variants. One of them is a bit of a neon green, and the other one's like a lime green. Neither, unlike Wilbert, I don't think either of them fit. He's just kind of a. I don't even know what type of green describes him, but I don't think either of these fit. Ertl Percy also just lacks the colored boiler bands, and I think it hurts the most on him. His tooling is kind of fat too, and this doesn't scream Percy to me. His face, it reminds me of the 2003 Learning Curve Wooden Railway Percy. Yeah, like his proportions are okay, like, which that's probably why he's so up. Like, I've complained about this one more than Mavis, Bill, and Ben, but he's higher. And the silver side rods, they save him, I think. His gold detailing works well with him, which is good. So, that's great. Ertl Percy, like, he was one of their first, so I don't expect anything huge, but, I mean, some of these early Ertls are pretty high up the list. So, yeah. Overall, he has his flaws, but he was one of the first Ertls I got. Might have been the first. That might have been Toby. It was Percy or Toby. I can't remember. But, yeah. So, let's get on past Percy now. In 35th place is Earl Duke, and Duke is good, I think. His face just seems too over-exaggerated, like it looks too old to be Duke, if that makes sense. I think his major flaw here is, well, that he's connected to his tender. I don't think the connection looks right. He just looks like one big piece. I don't think it works that well. And I think he's a bit tall. Like his chimney and his cab could be a bit shorter. But overall, like, he's decent. His black side rods, they don't help. He's just very. Not sure if they rushed him or what, because I don't know if it looks. The tooling looks fine with Bertram, even though he's a lot lower on the list. I think he's just a very. He's a quaint Ertl. He's quaint. Is it his best merch? It's probably up there, but I think the Trackmaster one beats him by a bit. So, this is not Like, we're approaching the middle of the list now, so we're like in the, I want to say, lower middle part of the range now. So like he's fine. I'll take him over Percy, but he's definitely he falls behind compared to a lot of models. He beats a lot of others, so it works out. So on to 34th. Oh boy, in 35th or 34th, sorry, we have. Ooh, this one's. I'm gonna be talking about this one a lot here. Ertl Gordon. Now, Ertl Gordon is too long for one thing. Although he has an incredible face. I love that face. It screams Gordon. Now, this is where things get interesting because it reminds me of the IRL A1/A3, and yet it also just screams Gordon a lot. It has the Gordon footplate, but the cab reminds me more of like an A1 Pacific, especially with the fact that you can use him as a bottle opener, which is great. I can't tell if his body is too long or if his tender is too short. I don't know. He just doesn't look like a Thomas toy. Like, I don't know. This looks like something you'd put on your fridge or something. This does not look like an Ertl Thomas toy. I don't know. Like from my experience, his stickers also peel off easily. I've had experience with both my regular and paper face Gordon. No, it's not a pleasant thing, really. I don't know. I don't think he was executed very well, and he was the last of the him and Edward were the last of the first 7 to come out in '89. So I don't really know what the deal was there, but I honestly would have preferred if he was pushed back to 1990. Just something. He just doesn't. He's a bit questionable. He raises my eyebrows. There's just a lot to say about Ertl Gordon, and I can't find the proper words for him. But overall, he's what's he looks polite. I don't think he is, but he looks polite. It's like, I don't know. This is just a very confusing Ertl with me. Like, I've never really had a defined opinion on Ertl Gordon. So, like, overall, what I will say about him. Oh, one thing I want to mention: the buffers. Yeah, the buffers. They're just round. Yeah. Or was that? Gang, I don't know. Ertl Gordon is just. I'm slowly losing my mind talking about Ertl Gordon for too long. So, yeah, let's get on to 33rd place. In 33rd place is Ertl Henry, and he's better than Gordon. I'll say that. I think his length works a bit better. I'm not sure why. I've always imagined Black Fives as just these beefy engines who can go anywhere and do anything. I guess that applies here. Henry has the same issue with Percy, where he has 2 different shades of green, the lime release and then the more neon one. It's really weird, but I don't think either fits, but Henry is a good face. I think it's slightly better than Gordon's. Not by much, but slightly. And the red running the red running board. Let's talk about that for a second. I think Thomas, James, and Henry are affected by it because they once had white ones. But like, overall, it's something, like, you get used to pretty quick, because most of the, Ertls you see have the red running board, so, one thing I've seen with a lot of Henrys, the tender, the little, I wouldn't call them flaps, but the edges, the rounded edges at the back, the rounded edges at the back of the tender get bent pretty easily, and that's an issue I had with one of mine. I sold, I want to say 2 or 3 of them off, but yeah, that's just a problem with a good amount of them you see, or that I've seen. I don't know about you guys, but he's a very mixed bag. Um, like I can see Henry in him, but he's just very um, like, I don't know. It just looks like they didn't have much time with Henry. Um, if I remember, he was released the same year as James, which is a shame because I think he's the worst of the original trio. But yeah, so let's get on to the next engine on this list in 32nd. Up next is Ertl Diesel, and I'm going to keep this brief because we already talked about Splatter and Dodge, and later Ari and Bert. So, overall, like, he's fine. Like, the tooling's just too tall. He has a good face, but it's metal, and like other diesel toys, it's prone to chipping. Yeah, that's something Wooden Railway actually got in the bag, unlike Trackmaster and Ertl. Like, I think his silver side rods also stand out. They're good. It's very similar to the Hornby diesel, and I'm not sure how to think about that. But this is probably going to be our shortest entry here. Like, overall, he's fine. He has his flaws, but, like, it suits the character well and what they appeared and how they appeared at the time. Silver side rods, later black. So, overall, he's just okay. Ertl 16 is next, and he does justice to Wilbert's Ertl, I'll say that. He's pretty good here. Now we're really getting into the Ertls that I really enjoy. And mind you, there's still 30 left. So I'm going to cover the positives first. His color is great. They got his color down. There's really only 2 flaws I have with 16. I'll get to that later. His face is spot on. That is a good face. I can't remember if he has white buffer stickers like Wilbert, but I think it looks fine. It doesn't look as jarring paired with the yellow running board, although that is one of my flaws. It's just one big yellow piece. And he doesn't have his wasp stripes on his front or back buffer beam, but I understand how that's kind of hard to do, like especially with the buffers and the coupling. The yellow coupling looks fine. Like I take some issue with it, but it doesn't look too bad. Like, he definitely looks a lot more like 16 than Wilbert looks like Wilbert. And I think he's just he's I don't know if it's because it's Sven and Erno I've always wanted, but he just looks really, really good. And like I said, like, his 2 flaws are a bit jarring. Like, it's similar to the 2019 Push Along Salty. Like, it stands out, like, and it's not an accurate thing, but, like, it pops out. So I think he's just very, he's what's a good way to describe my overall feelings towards Ertl 16? You're not sure if you're eating your meal. You're not sure if it's good because it's good or because you're just really, really hungry. In this case, I'm not sure if I like him because he's good or because I like him more than Ertl Wilbert. So yeah, let's get on to the next two characters. In 30th and 29th is Ertl Airy and Ertl Burt. Now, we have reached my favorite Ertl 08s, and this just boils down to the faces. The silver side rods really help. They honestly could have been swapped with Diesel. I honestly think if they had the black side rods like Splodge, Diesel would have been above them. But I'm placing Airy one spot above Burt because I think he has the superior face. He has a bit of a scheming face, or like a smug one, while Burt just has a content one, which I think is fair because of like fan content and stuff. But overall, they're just they're pretty good for Ertl standards, and they nailed the colors, which, unlike Splodge, which came after, I think they did great with them. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on them. Like the face chipping, that's still a problem, but they're the best Ertl 08s, and they're the same item except for the use of different faces. So, that's great. So, let's get on to the next spot, which marks the halfway point. Ertl Duck makes the halfway point in 28th place, and I have a lot to say about this model. Let's first start off with his side rods. Black side rods, they could have been silver, they could have been red. It would have looked better either way, I think. The red running board, I think with Duck, it hurts. One of them, it hurts the most out of any of the range, I honestly think. I'm not sure why, but it kind of just does. His face, that's a good Duck face. That's a good one. And we haven't had many good ones in the diecast range. All Engines Go is kind of its own thing. Take Along just looks like your average drug dealer from the local cartel. Take and Play 2013, I get what they were trying to do, but it just doesn't come across as what Doc was gonna be in Season 17. And then we don't talk about the 2026 Doc. The face is overhated, but it's not Doc. Doc has good proportions. I think his Ertl reminds me slightly more of just regular 5700 Pannier rather than his prop. I wonder if it's inspired by the Matchbox Pannier that they made not too long before the Ertl one. But yeah, overall, Ertl Duck is very average, I'd say. It's another Ertl where it's a good summary of the range. Like it has some problems, but like, you gotta look once, more than once to really make them out. And now we're probably starting to get to the Ertls where these quote problems are just nitpicks. So yeah, Duck takes 28th place, and we are now in the top half of the ranking. Yeah, this video is almost an hour long already, so we should probably pick up the pace, shouldn't we? 27th goes to Ertl Edward, and this is an Ertl I know well. I think this is... It was a good end for the Paperface run. It could have been better if Gordon was better, but, they ended that era off pretty nicely with Edward, I think. I do enjoy his paper face better, but his 3D face one is still pretty good. I can see Edward in it. His side rods were nailed great. They're smaller compared to everyone else. and City of Truro didn't have them. So, yeah, they got that down pretty nicely. I'm pretty sure they are unique to Edward. I'm trying to think of some positives here. His smoke box, this is my one flaw with him, really. His smoke box sticks out a bit too far for my liking, but it's fine. I must say, I really like his length. I think they got it down better compared to Gordon and Henry. And I'm glad Ertl took their time with Edward. Like, they didn't pump him out their first or third year. They waited until the end of the decade to release him, which I think was a smart decision in the end. And overall, he's one of their best of their first 5 or so years. And he's just, like, when I think of classic series Edward, Ertl Edward is one of the first things I really think of, because he didn't really have many classic episodes. The Plaro one, that was just go straight to the 2003 one. But when I think of classic Thomas, or classic Edward, whatever, I usually think of Ertl Edward. And I will say, he's a bit of a step up from Duck. So, yeah, there's obviously a lot better than Ertl Edward, but there's far worse. So, let's get on to the next engine on the list, and we'll see who I have selected. Next is Ertl Neal. And, I mean, this one's going to be a bit of a trickier one to rank, because we don't have many, we don't have much reference material for Neal, but I'm going to just go off of the actual toy. So, his face is a little off, but I can see Neal in it. I see Neal behind that face, which is most often chipped because it's made from metal, but that's not the point, Ertl. Bill and Ben, why, Bill, Ben, Diesel, Spider, Dodge, Airbird, why did you guys have to inspire that? Anyways, his cab, or like his little square, I'm not sure if you can fit like a human in there, but it's actually detailed, and it's colored brown inside, and he has some silver detailing, which I think is pretty good. I believe he was a 2003 release. That might have been, nothing really happened in 2003, but I'm sure they probably knew that the end was coming by then. But Ertl Neal, I don't know, there's something about him. I want to get him at some point, but I have better priorities. I still don't have Splatter. And I remember Neal played a huge part in my childhood. I used to play with a wooden railway one at my preschool, but I never knew about the Ertl one until much later, so it's pretty interesting to me that he exists. And they got his size down perfectly, and he has a great mold. Like, so honestly, some of these characters here, some of these rankings are just some of this just might be up to, I guess ownership. Like, Edward and Doc probably would have been a bit lower had I not owned them, for example. But yeah, so that's Neal. Let's move on. Ertl, Donald, and Douglas take 24th and 25th, and they are good Donald and Douglas toys. Or they're good Ertls, but there's better Donald and Douglas toys out there. Like, I'm looking at my Bandai Donald Thanks Tranos, and it represents the Ertl or the character perfectly. I'm looking at the Nakayoshi Douglas. Once again, it represents the character perfectly. Departing Now Donald represents it perfectly. The Ertls just fall behind. They are good Ertls, but there's better representations of the characters. Their faces are the same, albeit the same good face. Their tenders are longer than Gordon and Henry's. I think it works. They have better proportions compared to Gordon, Henry, and James, so I think they're better in that regard as well. Overall, they're the same, so it doesn't matter which one goes over which. So, yeah, but yeah, they're very What was I gonna say? Well, one thing they do better than the Bandai, Tex, Donald, and Douglas, they actually have a fully black running board, as the Bandai one has a red running board. Yeah, I'm looking at my Bandais, and only Duck has a black running board. It's weird. Overall, though, these are some good Ertls. Like, they made it into the top 25, but compared to other Donald and Douglas toys, they fall behind. So, let's get on to 23rd on the list. In 23rd is Ertl Godred. This was one I wanted to place a lot higher up, but I placed him here because he falls behind the other Colby Fell engines. Not other Godred merge, because there is none, except like a character card. Yeah, so Godred just falls behind. Colby has a lot more detail than him. I covered this in my last video, but he just falls behind. Like, Colby has that thing at the back of his cab, almost like a sunroof. I don't know what it is, but it's like this little... It's this piece that extends outward, is like similar to like it's almost like Boldy's stand. I don't know what it is, but Godred doesn't have that. And his motion is slightly less detailed compared to Colby. So, yeah, I wanted to put Godred up higher. Same with Donald and Douglas, but he just falls behind compared to Colby, and by extension, Lord Harry / Patrick. He was the first mountain engine I owned. I got him at Value Village. And then I got a second one somewhere. I forgot where it was, but it was somewhere. So, yeah, Ertl Godred's going to take 23rd place on this list. And let's get on to 22nd. Ertl Boko is next. And this is one that I was going to place initially lower, but I came to the realization he's a lot better compared to most of the other big diesels. Like, he's his own tooling, unlike Diesel 10. Unlike Bear, I think the coupling not being red works better for Boko. The black running board looks fine on him, I think. He has a good face, too. It's a good Boko face, and I think the TWR one beats it ever so slightly, but I think it beats the Trackmaster one. Does he beat the Capsule one? That's another discussion. But yeah, Ertl Boko has a lot of detail for when he came out, like especially on the roof with all the vent detailings, not to mention the British Railways crest. There's only one big Ertl diesel that I think beats him, which is Derek. Like, I put Derek, I guess Derek. I put Derek and Boko above Diesel 10 and D199 and Daisy and Bear and all those guys. So I think that for when Boko came out, I want to say 92 to 94, somewhere in that
time, somewhere around there. He's definitely one of the best releases for his time. So, yeah, 21st place now. Next on the list is one I'm really eager to talk about, Ertl James. This is a good Ertl right here. His face, both of them are flawless. I think of the engines given paper face variants, James has the best of them overall, like both variants included. And they got him down pretty nice. I think his size is great for one thing. He could be a bit taller, but I'm pretty sure he's taller than Gordon and James, so he's fine. He's pretty similar to Edward in terms of scaling, size, and whatnot, and overall, he's pretty good. He barely missed out on the top 20, but I believe we only have one more engine left that also has a paper face variant, so yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one to talk about. But back to James, he's like his 5 is an interesting font, and he's, I think either him, Thomas, or Edward have the best uh, translation from the prop to the actual Ertl. Percy's a close one, but he's just too fat, and yeah, he's fatter than most Ertls too. So overall, though, Ertl James, he's good. I wanted to put him up a little bit higher, but there's just so many more good ones that I decided he's best right outside the top 20. Speaking of, let's get to number 20.
20th goes to D199. I thought I placed him below Boko, but I didn't. Yeah, I'm very tired today, but oh well. So, we've ranked the tooling before in the form of Diesel 10, but the actual tooling is pretty similar to a Class 46, and also the illustrations. So, I think that gives him a bonus there. His face is also spot on, and I just like the shade of yellow they used. I don't know why. His light blue could have been a bit darker. But overall, I think it looks good. His red coupling is a bit cursed. In fact, it even made a cameo in he made a cameo in a magazine, I think, and they took illustration from that. But oh well. He has the correct amount of wheels too, which I think gives him an edge here. I believe his wheel arrangement is a 2 Coco 2, I believe. Overall, I believe he was a 95 release, and he's pretty good for what he is. Obviously there's better, but he crept his way into the top 20, so I think that's pretty good for this spam can. Anyways, let's get on to the next engine. Ertl Thomas takes the next spot, and we reached the end of the main 7, and I think Thomas is the best. They just got down his features pretty well, albeit there's like 3 Thomases. The 1990 release has a good face, I think, and it just encapsulates Thomas well, I think. He's a pretty good size for Thomas, pretty good proportions for Thomas. His side rods, dark gray color, they look good. He has his back bunker lining, and overall, he's just a really well-rounded model, I think. And while there's nothing to really praise him for their first ever Ertl, they did a splendid job. So, I think that like, I'm curious, like, what would have happened if Thomas was the first release in, say, 1990 or something? Like, you know, because this was the first ever, this came out, like, Thomas' first release was back when Season 1 came out, so it's been a while. But overall, this is a great item. And for Ertl's best, it's one of Ertl's best, sorry. Yeah, I'm really forcing myself to get this video out, so if it seems rushed, you know why. Let's get on to the next engine on this list. 18th place on this list goes to Ertl D261, or the real ones know him as Squilbert. So, I'm not sure if this is better than his 2013 Take and Play. I'm not sure. Both of them have great faces. I think the Ertl one has a better face, though. He's my personal favorite Ertl Bogey Diesel. I think he has the best tooling out of all of them. It may be because he was actually in the show, but it seriously translated greatly into his Ertl. And, like, they got his colors right, which is a good thing. And I got the 2013 Take and Play just a couple days ago from my good pal Tranos. Goes up to him. But after looking at that one, like, I've been eyeing up the Ertl one lately, and it might just be because I want it, but there's something different about this one. And I'm not sure what it is, but seriously, like, they just nailed every detail with him. And now we're getting into the flawless Ertls here, I think. Like, there may be a nitpick between, like, these Ertls next on the list, but even then, like, some of these are such a major step up from the last, and that one nitpick barely matters. But I don't have any with D261, so, like, his coupling is red, but it looks fine. Like, he has a pretty good face, I said that already, but seriously, they just nailed him, and now we're really getting into the good stuff, so let's get on to 17th place. Okay, one last note about D261. After taking one final look at him before moving on to the recording for the next pick, I just realized his front, like, yellow panel, it looks like half of a hash brown, and I really like that. Like, it feels like something I'd complain about, but it looks really good. I don't know why, but yeah, that's just something I wanted to point out. Okay, now we'll get on to 17th. Okay, next is Ertl Rusty, and once again they nailed it with this one. Now I do want to say, Rusty's face is a little questionable to me, just a little. Still looks pretty good though. And, like, it's the accurate size and all. Rusty and Duke were based off the TV props, so, hey, it doesn't look like rebuilt Midlander, so that's great. And he's so dinky, but it really fits him, I think. And there's nothing really missing here. And this was one of the first Ertl narrow gauge engines I got. I believe I got them with the 3 mid-Sodor engines. But seriously, they just knocked it out of the ballpark with him, and he was one of their first. Although, to be fair, they made all the season forecasts in 96, I believe it was, except for Skarloey and Duke, which were pushed back a year. But yeah, they really just knocked it out of the ballpark with him. And this is, like, we still have over 15 Ertls more or left to go, sorry. So yeah, this is just like, we finished the dinner and we're getting to the dessert. So, yeah, Ertl Rusty. Underrated one for sure. Alright, let's get on to the next one. We have a really good one here. Ertl Salty. Now, Salty could have made it into the top 10, but I have one nitpick with him that set him back a couple of spots. He has black side rods, and he would have looked so good with silver ones. But still, he is incredible. Like, they got his face done pretty well. It's a bit iffy in some spots, but I can tell it's salty. Like, the average fan can tell it's salty. The yellow coupling doesn't look that jarring, actually. It might be because he actually sits well. Like, he's not like Bear where he's low to the ground. But they also got his mold done pretty nicely. And he has a lot of detailing for... because he was one of the first UK Ertls, I believe. But he is... he has a really good mold. So... let's see... it's definitely better than his Take Along and Take and Play. 2013 Take and Play at Rivals for sure. It rivals his All Engines Go toy. It beats the 2026 Salty. Adventures and Push Along are kind of out of the question, so it's better than... It's in the top half of diecast Salties for sure. And even though we'll have a new one in the US in a couple of months, overall it's I'm really impressed with Ertl for just doing a fantastic job on Salty. So, yeah, and we're gonna get down to the wire here, where some characters I'll be comparing to their previous diecast, while others just don't have any other diecasts. So we're really gonna be cutting it. We're really gonna be getting down every last bit of detail for these last Ertls. So let's get on to the top 15 now. Okay, this is one I've been anticipating to talk about. Ertl City of Churro takes 15, and boy, oh boy, did they cook with this one. So I want to say Churro got a 93 or 94 release before the portraits, for sure. And just, I am blown away with this one. Well, so this is one I own. It was one of the first Ertls I got, actually. I got, like, most of your average characters, like, characters made from, like, 84 to 93. And, like, him and Wilbert were included, which really shocked me. But, seriously, they did a fantastic job at City of Churro. Like, it has more detail than the actual prop. And, like, yeah, sure, it doesn't have molded side rods, but they're on the outside frames. And they're painted silver, which I think makes up for that fact. Painted smoke box door. The tender is the proper detailing too, and like Scotsman. And this is one I really think, I'm really surprised that they pulled off, considering the timeline we were in. Like, I'm curious, well, what if Churro traded spots with like Spencer or Scotsman? Like, what if she was a UK Ertl? Like, what would that change, like, about the mold? But seriously, like, they just knocked it out of the ballpark with this one. This one hit a home run. The green, it's fabulous. I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate to the prop, but I think it looks a bit better, honestly. It's a similar green to Ertl Emily, which is one I should probably try getting soon. But yeah, so now we're getting into. Now we're actually starting to finish the cake, or we're cutting slices of the cake. So yeah, now let's get on to number 14. 14, Ertl Harvey. So this reminds me of a lot of Harvey merch. So it has similar proportions to the Thomas Wood Harvey. It has the same color as the Take Along one. The face, it reminding me of the Wooden Railway Harvey. The distinct crane arm reminds me of Trackmaster. It's like if every Harvey toy came together, and yeah, I mean, this is a good Harvey toy. I'm not sure if the crane arm moves, but I mean, this is the same range where you can't couple most engines together, so I think it's fine. They handled him a lot better than Percy, another 040 in their range, so he's a special Ertl, I'll say. And overall, it's a pretty good replica of the prop. Like, it's off in some areas, like the color might be too dark, but I mean, this is a Harvey toy in the 2000s. Like, the Take Along and Wooden Railway one also didn't fare that well, although, to be fair, they were made by the same company. So, like, this is one that I would definitely have to see in person to have a solid, concrete opinion on. But from what I've seen of it, from photos, collection videos, eBay listings, this one looks really cool. It's one I'd want to get at some point. Like, there's other UK Ertls that spark more interest in me, like Bear, or like Emily, even Salty. But yeah, this is one that's gonna enter the collection eventually, sometime before I die. So, yeah, that's gonna be an interesting hunt for it. But yeah, let's get on to the next Ertl on the list. Ertl Arthur is next, and honestly, this one could have been interchangeable with Harvey. I have my flaws with him, but his tooling is simply gorgeous. I don't think that's an Arthur face. He looks really soulless, and he looks like he needs some help. I would like to provide that help for him if I could, but he's not in my collection, so I can't. But anyway, like, they knocked it out of the park with his valve gear. Like, with these later Ertls, they were honestly perfected with the outside motion that I'd honestly prefer compared to the red ring of black, red, or silver plastic around the entire chassis. You know what I mean. His red, it's not entirely accurate to what it is in the show. I still like it though. Like, it makes him unique compared to other Arthur diecast, and it still resembles the character. It might honestly be the best Arthur diecast because the Take Along one is a brick, the 2010 Take and Play one a brick, and the 2014 one is good, I think, but it just lacks detail. But this Ertl, there's something different about Ertl Arthur compared to the other three, and this one is one that I would honestly consider as maybe top 5 UK Ertls. Like, he has like, Arthur was interchangeable with Harvey, but I ultimately decided to put Arthur over Harvey because I was not sure about Harvey's crane arm, like if you can move it or not. I'm pretty sure it's static. I'm guessing. So that one thing I just put Arthur over him. But honestly, they're about equal. So there's nothing much more to say comparing the two. So I'm gonna move on to the next engine on the list. Next up is Ertl Duncan, and this is one that I really like. So, once again, I was considering swapping him and Arthur, but I originally had him a bit lower on the list, and then I moved him up here. Then I thought about switching him Arthur and Harvey, but settled with this final placement. So, his diecast is clearly based off Douglas. Like you could tell by the pipes on the side of a smoke box, and they really got him down. I think his face, it doesn't scream Duncan. It screams more Skarloey to me, but Ertl Duncan just has so much detail, and he also got a metallic variant, so that's cool. He was one of the last narrow gauge engines I got. I got him, Skarloey, and I think Rheneas, at a train show, actually, with Caroline and Stepney. One other engine, probably too. But, yeah, they were just... It was finally good to see them all in hand. And then when I finally, looked at Duncan, he just fits in so well with the others. And his yellow reminds me of Season 4, Season 5 lighting. So, Ertl Duncan, he means a lot to me. He's a good Ertl. And I will say, he just barely misses out in the top 10. So, we have another double entry here. So let's get into those two now. 11th place, Falcon. 10th place, Sir Handel. Okay, so these two are going to be lumped together because they're the same character. And Ertl just decided, you know what? We have all these spare Sir Handels lying around, and the metallic one sold poorly. Okay, let's make Falcon now. Okay, so best narrow gauge engine we've talked about so far, clearly. Barely beat Duncan, I think. Because I think they clearly based him off Sir Hayden, but there's more Sir Handel and Ertl Sir Handel than Duncan and Ertl Duncan, I think. So that's what determined their placement on the list. And they're just very they honestly remind me of the Bachmann Sir Handel, where they're just so incredibly accurate to the character in some way, shape, or form, or what the character is based off. So they clearly did the research with them. And we finally have an engine that has a good face. This is a good Sir Handel face. Let me take a break for Diet Pepsi. Or Diet Dr. Pepper, sorry. Okay, anyway. So, Sir Handel is... I will say, there's one better narrow gauge engine on this list. But these two, they have done they've done their what's the word I'm looking for? They've done their part to make way into the top 10. I guess the both of them. So yeah, that's Falcon in 11 and Sir Handel in 10. Let's get on to the my ninth favorite Ertl. In 9th place, we have Ertl Spencer. This... Okay, now we're actually starting to eat the cake. And this is... this is amazing. Let's start off with his tooling. He has 8 tender wheels. His outside motion, they perfected. And he's silver. He is not Season 7 gray, people. He is silver. And overall, like, they got his tender correct, too. Which I'd argue makes up for Ertl Scotsman. This is so good. His take along, it's worse. 2010 take and play, I'd say about the same. He didn't get a 2013 one, the 2014 one, the Adventures one. Yeah, they're kind of bad compared to him. The 2026 one, when that comes out, that could rival Ertl Spencer. But I think this one here is the best one we've got so far, just like Arthur. His face it's a bit wonky, but it's accurate to what Spencer is. Like, he has a weird face, like the A4s. So, and they got him down better than, like, for example, Bachman, although they had to fit an iMac. And he has a good face, too. I should mention that. So, overall, they just knocked him out of the ballpark. There's better Ertls on here, I'll say that. But there's only 8 more Ertls until this list is completed. But Spencer, he came really close. I'm going to say that. But now this next one is one I'm really eager to talk about. So let's get on to the 8th engine. Or 8th to last engine on this list. Okay, in 8th place is Ertl Coldy. Boy, oh boy, is this one I want to talk about. So, let's compare him to his other models first. The 2013 Take and Play, it lacks some detail, but it was good. It was a good send-off for diecast Coldies. The Take Along one, I'd say, is about equal with this one. Drop in the comments below if you want to take a long ranking. I could easily do that. But this Ertl Coldy is different compared to the others. And he has so much detail. I love his shade of purple, although I think the Take Along one gets the color the best. And this one, where do I begin? Okay, so let's talk about his face first. That's a good Coldy face. His rear face, yeah, that's a Coldy face. He has more detail than Godred, which is weird because they came out at the same time, but I'm not complaining about it. He has a little extension at the back of his roof that covers over the top of his rear face, which Godred does not have. Godred just has a completely open cab. And the exterior motion on both of them are a bit different compared to each other, but I think Coldy gets the slight edge because there's a bit more of it. And this was a 95 release, I want to say, and I must say, they did a good job at this. Yeah, we're getting to the cream of the crop Ertls. Is there any complaints with Coldy? Can I think of any? No, I cannot. Yeah, I have none. So, this is... like, there's obviously better Ertls, not many, but there are some. But this is a great die-cast Coldy. So, yeah, now let's get on to the 7th favorite Ertl of mine. So let's talk about that one now. In 7th place is Ertl Jock, and Thank you, Ertl, for not cheaping out on your final release. I'm looking at you, Take Along. Yeah, Take Along Hero is not that good of a release. Anyway, Ertl Jocks. So, like the Coldy Fell engines, they nailed his exterior motion. And yeah, that's pretty good for what it is. It's kind of sad that we never got Mike, Rex, and Bert, but hey, they got Take and Play releases. Jock's tender is very nice. It's accurate to the illustrations, or the few that show it off well. And his Arlesdale lettering is clearly there, and he's a good shade of yellow, which is accurate to what he is in the books. His face, I noticed with the UK Ertls, because the faces are metal, they're a bit of a darker gray than what they should be, but this is a decent Jock face. Like, I can live with it considering it's just one piece of merchandise. I just wish he wasn't so overpriced, but oh well. Compared to other Arsdale merchandise, he doesn't really fit in, but that's because, we don't really have any incredible Arsdale merch now, do we? Take Along Mike is tiny compared to this guy. Chalk has the correct amount of wheels, though, which is good, I think, since early promos of the Arsdale engines notoriously mess up their wheel configurations. Lord. They didn't really miss anything with Jock, though, and he's all around. He's a good sport overall. Good utility player, this one is. There's better Ertls, albeit only 6 of them. So let's get on to the 6th favorite Ertl of mine. Ertl Peter Sam is next, and let's first start off by comparing it with his other diecasts. So the Take Along and Take and Play one are pretty much identical, and that's it. He didn't get another release after this, which is unfortunate, but his Ertl release is the best of the 3, and it's the only one to have any exterior motion, which looks good on him. His outer side rods are black, but like it still looks fine. It's there, and he has the correct funnel. Like Sir Handel, I see more of his TV series prop in him compared to like Rusty or Duncan, Scarloey, Duncan, and Reneus, but like I can see both Edward Thomas and Peter Sam in this model, and it's good. And it has a great Peter Sam face. I think it has a better Peter Sam face compared to Sir Handel's face. Or a better Peter Sam face compared to Sir Handel face. You know what I mean. This one is very detailed compared to the others. It lacks in some areas, but it has most of it overall, and it's just great all around. I don't know how much to say about it, but his cap is great too. Like overall, it just replicates everything that makes Peter Sam himself. So this one barely missed out on the top 5, and I'm honestly not sure why, but he is the best Ertl Scarloey Railway engine. So I'm gonna get on to the top 5 now. We only have 5 left until this video's gone and over. Yeah, it's already over 100 minutes, isn't it? Okay, in 5th, Ertl Derek. Yeah, I forgot about Derek, and well, let's just say that statement about D261 being the best bogey diesel Ertl. Yeah, that's not true. Derek's right there. Similar to, I'll use Arthur as the example here. Like they just nailed his tooling, and they got everything correct about him. Even to the point of including his British Railways logo. This was also the case for Boko, but Boko had his own flaws. Derek's face, it's just the eyes, really. I see Derek and everything else in this model in the face, except those eyes. But overall, like, this is better than his wooden railway toy, and I believe he got a Tex or Nakayoshi, but they're both inferior to Ertl Derek. And this is one that I almost acquired, I skipped out on it, but it's one I almost got. And overall, it's one that I regret skipping out on, but here we are. I don't have it, but it's cool and I want to own it. It's my 5th favorite Ertl. I'm just trying to piece together words for this. Like, for one diecast Derek, this is a great toy. So, scales well with everyone else too. Highlight of the Season 5 Ertls. So, let's get on to number 4. Ertl Murdoch is next, and this is what the Tommy Murdoch wants to be, okay? All 10 drive wheels have exterior motion. It's accurate enough. That face is a good Murdoch face. They did not cheap out on this one. This is a good Murdoch toy. Compared to his other die casts, they're almost equal, I'd say. The take-along one is good, and the take-and-play one is more accurate than both of these, having black tender wheels. But the Ertl one, it's different. It's big, it's long. It's Ertl Murdoch, and that's what makes him so goated. I really like this one. This is a good Ertl. There's not much more to say about him. He's just outside the top 3. And let's get to those final 3. Ertl Emily is up as the bronze medal. And let's first compare to her other diecasts. So the take along one, it falls behind. The take and play one is a step up. Still a downgrade, but it's a step up nonetheless. The Ventures one and the 2014 one, yeah, they're a downgrade from that. 2019 one, that's the worst diecast Emily we've had yet. All Engine Go fixed that problem though, and like Salty, she got an upgrade in the 2026 one. That one rivals this one. They got everything perfected with this Emily. So, her driving wheel doesn't move, but they emphasized its size, and I think they nailed it for being static. That's a good face too, and her smoke box, that's accurate. Her tender, like Jock, they did a fantastic job of that. 3 axles, and she has a great mold overall. There's not much that I can really conclude from comparing it with other diecasts because it stands out so much. And like, it has a white running board while having the huge driving wheel, albeit static, but it has a lot of detail. And for one of Ertl's last, they really went out with such a goated model. They really put their all into Emily, and that's why she's my favorite UK exclusive Ertl. There's only 2 more Ertls on this list that I believe are better than her. But you guys aren't sure what those 2 are. So let's get into one of those 2, and I'll talk about it now. In second place, this one almost earned first place, Ertl Lord Harry.
So, there is actually another diecast to compare him with, which is his metallic variant, which is really rare and doesn't serve that much of a purpose, but I love him anyway. So he has a lot more detail than Coldy and Patrick, and that's what earned him this spot. His face, it seems like a solid face to me. Like, he looks like he's proud after what he's done rescuing those hikers. And I got him recently, and I just realized how much detail this guy has. Like, they didn't cheap out with him. They went all out, and I want to say he was a 1998 release. Like, he's not branded as Patrick, he's branded as Lord Harry, but he has his outside exterior, which, from all the illustrations we were given, they went through with all of it. Like, from what we could make out from the illustrations, they put in their all. Like, all the moving rods on his side, they're painted in silver, red accents. He has his iconic like slant compared to Coldy and Patrick. Like, his tanks on the side of his boiler are sloped compared to them. They nailed that. His dome, different from Patrick and Godred. They realized that, or they put in all the effort they could, and it worked out. They made him incredible. This almost took first place, but ultimately he didn't get that spot. And right before I started recording this audio, I was reconsidering moving him back up to first, but I decided last second to keep him here at second place. But seriously, this this is our one piece. This is our singular Lord Harry toy, or I guess one of two, because of the metallic one. And this is a good one. And even then, he'd look great with Catherine too. Like, he has Godred and Colby. Like, he's not on his own, and he makes a worthy addition to any collection. And I don't know what to summarize this item, or what. This is just such a quaint little item that took me a few years to discover. Like, I only remember finding out about it do this collection video on YouTube, but it's an item that always stuck with me. And now that I own it, it's one I can cherish forever. But there's one more Ertl that I like ever so slightly more than Lord Harry. Let's see if you can guess it, and let's talk about it. My favorite Ertl is Ertl Stepney. Stepney hasn't got many diecasts over the years. In fact, he's only had a total of 3. No variants. However, he will be getting a new one soon. But let's talk about his other variants and how they fare with his Ertl. His take-along summarizes the character well. It's a good Stepney, but it doesn't have very good scaling, I think. And his 2013 Taken Play sacrifices some detailing. It doesn't really benefit anything either. Has the same flaws. It just doesn't scale well with other engines. He's the same size as everyone, but the Ertl one, it's one of the few items they properly scaled down without making him dinky, and they did a good job at this. They packed in a lot of detail into this model. His red side rods are accurate and they're perfect. I want to say he's the only engine to use his color of wheels, which are like improved engine green, like a mustard color. But they went all out for a release in the middle of the line that sold decently well. I'd assume. Stepney. It's a real train, and it's a Love Thomas character. His face screams Stepney to me too. It's a good face, and albeit while I think the take-along face is better, it still resembles Stepney. His funnel is the accurate height too, and overall he just generally resembles the A1X Terrier greatly, I think. They even nailed the green on the top of his splashers. Little details like that make these earlier Thomas toys so special to me. His cab and his boiler, tanks, good proportions. One thing I'm not actually sure if he has, I can't get to mine right now, but I'm not sure if he has his little toolbox behind his bunker, but knowing Ertl, I'm pretty sure they would include that. I got Stepney at the train show with Duncan, Scarlowi, Reneus, and Caroline, but he was always the standout at that lot, since I hadn't have a standard gauge engine at that time. He's a standout, man. His coupler looks fine too. Like it's positioned in a way that makes him look great with it, and obviously with his other die casts, they look better with the magnets. But like this one doesn't look that bad. And comparing him to the other real engine, like Bluebell's my least favorite. Scotsman's kind of close, and Wilbert's near the middle, but Stepney and I guess Churro too. Churro's not that far behind Stepney, but he's my favorite one, and it's been like that. You know, he comes close with Lord Harry, but he's always been my favorite Ertl. And I think the fact that the other real engines from Ertl are so hit or miss, like the only other outstanding one is City of Churro. Stepney, they really got him down, and they really got him done well. And it's also great to me that the 2013 release of Stepney has two variants. Like, they can't even decide on a funnel length for him, but the Ertl one, they got it down they got it down the first time, and they kept it that way. Don't fix what ain't broke. And had the range continued, I'm sure the other characters would still be great. You know, the last engines they did were already incredible, but I'm not sure any of them could top Ertl Stepney. So, this is my favorite Ertl, and it's going to stay that way. So, I just want to thank everyone for watching this, because this is almost a 2-hour video at this point. It's my longest video. I don't want to edit it that much. If it comes out of slop, it comes out of slop. And I'm glad to have it done. So, yeah, this video took almost a week and a half to get together already. So, I just want to thank everyone for coming here and watching even just all of Bluebell segment. Like, just all of the first of 56 segments. So, yeah, that's going to be it for today. This might be the last upload of the summer, although I might have one final one planned. We'll see. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.